Hey everyone, so it's a long weekend and we also have a long weekend of rain here. I've been stuck in the van nonstop, just binge watching some TV shows. Just got through the third season of True Detective here. But anyways, I'm just finishing up my first winter here in the minivan, so I want to talk a little bit about that. I'm here in Ontario, Canada, so it gets fairly cold around here, about negative 20 degrees Celsius, and we get lots of snow to deal with as well. But if you've been following my videos, you'll know that I wasn't in the van during February and most of March. I lost my job, so I took some time off to do renovations on the van and make it a little bit more livable. But I originally went into it, I wanted to be on a budget, and I didn't want to make any permanent alterations to the vehicle, and I also wanted to be independent. So after some research, I decided to go with a propane heater. And I knew before buying it, especially with the Mr. Buddy heaters, that moisture would be an issue. So I decided to go with an Olympian Wave 3 heater. I thought that because it had such a low heat setting that the moisture wouldn't be a problem. But I learned really quickly that it was. It only took 10 or so minutes for the interior to be completely covered in moisture and frost over and everything. And I think if I would have stuck with that for a long period of time, it could have led to some problems like rust or mold or electrical. Actually, when I was doing the renovations and I took off the rear part of the headliner, there were icicles hanging down, so it just goes to show what's going on behind the scenes. So in hindsight, I wish I wouldn't have bought that heater in the first place. Basically what I was doing was whenever I ran the propane heater, I was running the minivan as well, so that would help vent out all the moisture, and I'd heat it up good in here to about 25 degrees Celsius. Then I'd shut everything down and I'd bundle up, and maybe 4 or 5 hours later I'd fire it all up again and heat it up in here again. So I think if I was starting all over again, what I'd do is rent a parking spot for the winter. I'm sure I'd get a lot of no's. A lot of people wouldn't want some weirdo sleeping in their driveway, but I'm sure someone would say yes, and then there's a chance that you can get hooked up to electrical as well, and you'd be able to run a heater that way. And that would also solve another problem that I was having, and that was that all my go-to overnight parking spots, I basically lost them because at night the snow plows would come in and clear out all the snow, so I had to keep moving myself around and staying out of the way. But if you're traveling around or you want to be independent, a diesel heater is definitely the way to go. I didn't want to go with one in the first place because you have to drill holes through the floor, and I was worried that it'd be a big problem and it would wreck the resale value or whatever. But now that I've done it, I see that it's not a big deal, and if you ever want to cover up those holes, just put a piece of sheet metal over it and it wouldn't be a problem. But if you want to run a diesel heater, then you also have to get set up with electrical, so it'll cost a little bit more money. You can either go with an isolator or with solar panels like I did. I'm still waiting to see if the solar panels, I've got 200 watts of solar, I'm still waiting to see if that'll be enough to keep it charged up through the winter when the daylight hours are short. So I might eventually have to add an isolator in my system as well. But anyways, I was just at the grocery store and I bought some ingredients to try and make frying pan pizza here, so let's go check that out. So I'm going to try to build my pizza on top of this naan bread. Got tomatoes, green onions, cheese, peppered dry sausage, white mushrooms, green olives, pesto sauce, and I'll top it off with maple syrup. Actually, no, I probably won't do that. So I've started by loading up my naan bread with the pesto sauce and cheese and olives, and I'm going to saute the rest of the ingredients first. The pizza turned out really good. I'd do that one again for sure. I just wish I had a beverage to wash it down with. Anyways, my microgreens here are all ready to be processed. The romaine turned out really good. So did the arugula. I did a little taste test on it though. I'm not too crazy about it. I can't really describe it, but I don't like it. And the kale, when it sprouted, it lifted a layer of soil on top and it just completely tore itself apart. So I'm going to have to do it differently next time around. Maybe just throw the seeds on top of the soil, but I've had lots of good suggestions how to do it differently. I just have a whole bag of soil here that I want to use up first. So I'm thinking that this summer I'm going to have an excess amount of electricity, and I've been wondering how I'm going to use it. One thing that came to mind was a refrigerator, but I custom designed this area to fit this cooler, so I can't really change it over to fit a Dometic. I thought about adding a compressor onto this cooler, but I don't really want to hack it up. So I did a little bit of research on YouTube, and maybe some of you guys know what this is. It's called a Peltier, and it's on top of a CPU cooling fan. It costs about $40 to get set up with this. And the good thing about it is that it's all 12 volt DC, so I can plug it right into my charge controller. So I'm thinking that I can build an insulated box around the Peltier, then I can throw an ice pack in there, then half an hour to an hour later it should be frozen. I can throw it in my cooler and help keep my food cool. I might have to double it up though and use two, but the thing about these, they're not very efficient. This thing draws about 4 amps. I think if I double it up, my solar panel should be able to keep up with it, but I'm still undecided if I'm going to complete this project or not. But other than that, the job's going good. You start out as a temp, and they've already told me that if I'm looking for a long-term job, that the opportunity's there. I've just kind of told them I'm not too sure I want to stay here in Ontario. I'd like to move out to Alberta or BC. I'm an outdoorsy type person, and I'm missing the mountains and the backcountry. There's just not a whole lot of that around here. But then again, it's hard to find a good job nowadays, so maybe I should stay and make some money. But anyways, thanks for watching, and thanks for commenting. Thanks to Patreon supporters, and thanks to everyone for bringing my first van life video up to 1 million views. That's pretty cool. I've never had that happen before. But anyways, I'll talk to you guys later.